Back to the show, everybody. Fino Haya is an institution that seeks to teach people how to read, write, and speak in Guam's native tongue. Now, Senor Peter Onedera is here, and we are going to talk about this institution. Thank you so much, Peter.
Well, thank you too for inviting me here, Jason. I'm really excited too because this is a whole new venture, pretty much, and it's kind of I'm taking it out of the academic realm of what I used to do at the University of Guam. So I've partnered with the Cathedral Basilica through Monsignor James Beneventi, who invited me to consider using that I guess space that's right next to the Cathedral Basilica to start a Chamorro language class for people who may be interested. And for an 8-week cycle, pretty much it's going to be quite different from what people are accustomed to having me teach previously. Now,
you know, something that's spoken a lot, like in you know, like backroom conversations, and but not really put to the forefront, is people say there's two types of Chamorro here on Guam when it's spoken. There's the university Chamorro, and then there's street Chamorro.
Well,
would you agree with that?
Well, in a sense, I kind of see what it is that they're I guess dividing one from the other and so forth, but it crosses pretty much both sides of anything. If you use street Chamorro, then there's of course academic side to it and so forth, and that's how we look at that and so forth. And this one is going to touch upon hands-on kind of Chamorro, where situational type scenarios that take place in the home. Let's say you're sitting down to have dinner, or perhaps you're going to wash the car and so forth. So on a conversational level, it kind of simplifies things, and so that's the approach that I'm going to be giving this kind of Fanizaka and Fino Haya, if you will, when I teach the Chamorro language. In the beginning, they're going to learn about the Chamorro alphabet because I feel that it's very important that people know about the Chamorro alphabet, because we do have it in place.
Absolutely.
And then from there, we go into the different genres of lessons that, like I said, are more practical and probably easier to use.
Yeah, we live in an era of, Rosetta Stone and language modules like that, and it's amazing to me, being someone that when my classmates and I were in school, when you learn a foreign language, the first thing you do is learn the alphabet, because that inherently teaches you about pronunciation and about, sentence structure, well, or at least the letters, and then you get into sentence structure. But these days and everything, people just thrust, vocabulary upon you and object names.
That's right. So that's the, I guess, the angle that I'm going to be approaching in a more practical sense. And of course, people are not inclined to want to sit down and really go through the grind of learning the grammatical rules and structure and what have you. It's pretty much applying it in a normal, everyday, day-to-day conversation. Like you say, if it boils down to what people may term as a street Chamorro, of course, I don't want to use that term, but I'll say a conversational Chamorro. That's more, like I said, understandable between two people who are conversing or just having a friendly chat or get together of some sort.
And I would say this organization is very worthwhile, because there's probably a lot of people who can speak Chamorro on the island and within the region and speak it very well, but they can't necessarily, or don't actually, write it out, or they have it presented to them in a written form where they can actually interpret it like that. I mean, it's an almost exclusively verbal language.
Right, almost exclusively verbal language, but it doesn't hurt to learn how to write it too, as well as to read it. And I think those are the two areas in the Chamorro language teaching today that I think needs to be brought to the forefront and emphasized a little bit more. And of course, there's a lot of people who can engage in spoken Chamorro, and that's fine. So maybe getting into a little bit of the basic writings of Chamorro language is another area that I'm going to be working on.
And so this certainly will result in like a more holistic, a more complete understanding of the language.
Right. Yeah. Of course, well, that's primarily the purpose of doing this and so forth. And it's, again, my attempt or contribution to making sure that our language is still alive and well, and that we put it to use. And maybe someday, I know that when you begin your news broadcast and so forth, you say half a day, and that's fine, that's great. You know, half a tatalmanuhaw, and para todo hamzo si Zeus maasi, ni este na okasyon, you know, gay gizogwini, you know. So we start off a little bit at a time.
Or remember way back Greg Champion.
Yeah, that's right.
Used to begin and end his very fine Guam news broadcast and everything with a nice phrase and
yeah, and every once in a while I remember Ron Tangy too was also doing the same thing.
Okay, so how can people sign up and how can people get involved? Because it's a fantastic program.
Well, like I said, is the pastoral center at the Cathedral Basilica. The individual there by the name of Mrs. Mary Kidd is the one who accepts phone calls and registers students to come and you know, be a part of the class. And
oh,
so
we
forth.
love Mary.
Right.
She's wonderful.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that's true. And of course, her son is a Chamorro speaker, Father Richard. Father Richard, Polly Richard Kidd. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's where they can register, or they can, I guess, show up early on Tuesdays, Tuesday, August 27th, when the first day of class begins and so forth. So they can come early, and I hope that Mrs. Kidd will be there to help register some more students.
All right, fantastic.
And
well,
I'm
Peter,
excited.
Well, Sidus Masi for everything you do.
Hagamas.
Yeah, I very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, and stay tuned because we will be right back after this.